as you noticed, Drake's own label promoted Kendrick's diss to try to bring Drake down a notch because Drake was having too much motion. And then Drake tried to sue them and say, this is defamation because I'm not a pedophile and y'all over here promoting a song calling me a pedophile. Like, this is just not right. And they did the same thing with Michael Jackson. They called him a pedophile because it's something that you can just point and say, yeah, you did that. And then just the even thought and idea of it immediately tarnishes your brand.
I love you, but be so for real. Michael Jackson didn't become Michael Jackson just because he's talented. He became Michael Jackson because of talent and maybe a little bit of belt to ass. Welcome back to I Love You, but Be For Real. Today we're making science and pop culture tie together because it all comes together. Quantum physics, frequency, celebrity success, MJ, Joe Jackson with the belt. But before we get into it, like, subscribe, follow I Love You But Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Today, I'm joined by a very smart special guest, Jade Johnson Jr. He's an athlete, CEO, founder of High Frequency Highway. He built his first app when he was 14, went viral, became ranked #1 in the nation in the 60M dash, and now works at the intersection of athletics, business, spirituality, quantum physics, frequency and performance, all those things. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. I love the intro. Excited to
Did
be
I
here.
miss anything? I always ask people, like, do you feel like I gave your intro justice?
Yeah. It was great. It was great. So
Okay, perfect. All right. So, like, before we get into science stuff, because that's really hard for me, um, like, you built your first company at 14 and then your app went viral. How did you know, like, you wanted to build an app? And then, like, how did that even happen? How did you make it happen at that age?
yeah. So basically, I saw that there was a huge advantage to having followers, like very early on. Like this is 2013, 2012, right? And I immediately took advantage of that, right? So I started to post memes and gained a following from these like meme pages. Like this was before Instagram had stories. This was before Instagram had video. So
Mm-hmm.
it was the OG days, and once I grew a following, there was not that many ways to monetize because brands weren't taking it serious. Influencer wasn't even a term yet. So it was more of like, okay, how can I leverage this audience? And I know most people, everybody's on their phone when they're on Instagram. So if I create an app, I could just get you from the Instagram app to then go to the app store to then pay to download my app, right? So I ended
Mm-hmm.
up teaching myself how to code through YouTube, and I made a fairly simple app. It was basically Flappy Bird with Kanye's face, and I basically took the biggest two trends at the time, which was Flappy Bird and Kanye, combined them together, and the world liked it. And the rest is history.
Okay, with Flappy Bird, I like vaguely remember Flappy Bird. I know you like got like angle the thing and then shoot it or whatever.
No, that was Angry Birds. Flappy Bird,
Flappy Bird.
you tap it and like he like flew through the little columns. And like each time it was like very addictive and everybody was trying to get like a high score on Flappy Bird and you just keep tapping to keep him flying. And then he would go through the columns. Maybe if you like search it up you can remember, but
No, that makes sense. I feel like I didn't do it. I did Angry Bird, and then my other addiction was like the Kim Kardashian Hollywood game. I was one of the people addicted to that. So those were my big, and Temple Run. I did Temple Run.
okay. Yeah, Temple Run
Temple
was
Run. But I definitely didn't do Flappy Bird. Like the way you're picturing it, I'm like kind of thinking of like how in Mario you gotta like jump and like fly a little bit. Sounds
yeah,
different, but like I would know if I did this Flappy Bird thing. So that wasn't my strange addiction. I had many others, but not that one.
okay.
Okay, so okay, but then what was like your one, like you taught yourself how to code in general, even on YouTube, whatever, but like that's crazy. But then too, like, what was your like you knew that like it was beneficial to have a following, you put two and two together, but like was your goal like you want to be rich? Was your like what was your like why behind you were doing it?
I just felt like I wanted to be famous, I guess, because I because of that, when you're 13, you associate fame with money. So
So really it was like money, but like you thought the way to it was fame.
yeah, yeah. So, I remember telling my friend in science class, like, I'm gonna have the most followers one day. And, like, what I would do was follow every single person that I saw on Instagram on this meme page. And then I would post these funny memes every day, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just keep gaining these followers. And, I'm only 13. So imagine when I'm like 21, like over 7 years of me just like posting memes, following a bunch of people. I will be a well-known, like rich person. That's just like as a 13-year-old how I was thinking, and it led to much bigger things.
Did you know you had ADHD already?
No, no, that was much later.
I'm like, that's like very ADHD where you're like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this and then it's gonna mean this. That's very like how my brain works, at least with my ADHD. And I'm like, oh, but I didn't know I would be like that when I was younger. But I was more so like, I'm gonna start. The reason that people don't have eat healthy and the reason that people are fat is they don't have access to healthy food. Like that was me when I was like 11, 12. And then I was like, well, I'm gonna go to business school and then I'm gonna do da 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 da. But like very much like, why did you even have these thoughts, kind of thoughts that I feel like is a telltale sign of ADHD. But um, okay, so then you sold that app and then you like did track and field. Were you doing that in high school or did you do it in college only or like what? Yeah, like when did you start doing that?
Yeah, so basically, I would spend all my time when I got home from school with this app and social media, and that led to me having like a point 0.9 GPA. So I got called in and they were like, you gotta like do something about this, and that's what kind of pushed me to like really sell it all.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was only playing football, and I had these aspirations of going D1. So basically invested a bunch of that money into like fitness equipment and all those things. And then my junior year of high school, our football coach was like, all of the fast guys, you got to run track. It's mandatory. So, we didn't want
What
to do it.
position were you?
I was wide receiver and
Oh,
DB.
so
So,
yeah, you gotta be fast. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, yeah, I was
Okay.
on offense and defense, and then I also did kick return. So, they were like, yeah, you gotta run track. So I was like, all right. So first year running track, I ended up becoming fourth in the state, and that was like a shocker. I was like, I'm the fourth fastest in the state my first year. And I got recruited by this summer track coach, and he was like, bro, I've never seen you before. You should run for my track league. I'll pay for you, all these things. And I'm like, all right. So I ended up starting to run summer track, and got even faster and faster, and then ended up becoming number one in the nation my senior year.
That's crazy. And then you just said fuck it to back to football. I mean,
Yeah, when I got to college, they asked me to be on the football team, but I was like, no, I'm Olympic bound. I don't even want to play no more.
it's very
Uh,
ADHD too. That's funny. That's funny. I don't know. Like I never did track. My dad did track and he was like in back in his day, he was like the best in the state or like number two in the state or something. But I just feel like football is like more fun. It's more like because it's like embedded in American culture so much. That's just a tangent. I don't know. So I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't have been able to if I was a man and I was in your position, I would have been like, nah, I'm gonna do football because
yeah, there was a couple things. Like with football, it's politics, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of politics involved with football. Versus with track, it's more based on your actual athleticism. Numbers don't
Yeah.
lie. And that was one thing I really liked because, like, I'm not the tallest, I'm not the biggest. So I was always kind of, people would assume things, right? And they would be like, oh, he's too small, he's too this, he's too that, he's too cocky, he's too, like, all these, like, kind of
Okay, but
BS.
wide receivers have to be cocky. That's like part of the job description.
Exactly, right? So there was just like a lot of politics, and then on the other end, which was like a more mature way that I started to think about it, because I had another opportunity, and I was like, you only get one brain. You only get one brain, and yes, I can go to the NFL. Like my combine numbers would have definitely like got me there. But the thing with that is like you get a couple $1 million and you can't get your brain back. People get CTE, they have all these things, and I would not risk that for 10-20 million dollars because you only get one of these. I think our brains and body is the most advanced technology on this planet. So to risk
Correct.
that for 5 years and 20 million when I could build $1 billion company and live a longer life, I just chose the other route.
When you were like, I have like multiple questions, but I'm trying to like. So when you were like, okay, you're gonna go to school, you're gonna do track, you're not gonna do football and go to the NFL because you only get one brain, which is like very a mature way of thinking at that age, I feel like. Because, yeah, I feel like at that age, I would have. If I think about my brother would have definitely done the football. Like, I just know he would have. Like, because my brother was really good at baseball and he was really good at basketball. But he was, like, the best at baseball. And it's like, he still wanted to do the basketball. Even though it's like, you're going to have an easier time doing this, this, and this if you do the baseball. He is like, I still want to do more effort in basketball just because it's fucking funner. So I don't know. That's very mature at that age to be like that. But then, so when you were going to college, you knew you were going to do track, and then did you know? I know you said you majored in something that had to do with science and all that. Did you know that, like, going in, that's what you wanted to do?
Well, actually, I majored in sport management.
Oh, yeah. You did say that. And, like, did you do that just because you were like, I'm going to be an athlete and this is, like, easier? Like, did you have a long term goal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I literally asked the advisor. I said, "What's the easiest major?" And they told me that. So I went ahead and went with it. I mean, I can potentially be a sports agent or whatever, but in reality, I knew that I wanted to do entrepreneurship. I wanted to do extracurriculars and stuff like that. And my main reason for being there was track and networking. So school was like third priority for me. So it really was just like, yeah, just give me the easiest thing so I can pass and do what I need to do.
At what point, like, did you get into like the science stuff and like actually start taking it more serious considering you were a college athlete studying
Yeah.
sports management?
Yeah, I would say during COVID, it definitely like I got into reading a lot of research because we just had a lot more time at home. And just the people I was surrounding myself with were like valedictorians and stuff like that. So I started surrounding myself with a bit of a different crowd, and that pushed me to then like reading more and like learning more about the research. But I was always like a student of the mind since I was a senior in high school because I found out about the power of manifestation and the mind because I had previously like I was doing it subconsciously, right? Like when I was a freshman in high school, I was like I'm the fastest in the nation. I had no proof or no real evidence, but I just had that confidence. And then when it became a reality, and then I figured out that oh wait, there's science behind like saying something and it happening, how can I double down on this? And that's what led me to like discovering like the Tony Robbins of the world. And I was like I was literally studying Tony Robbins, neuroscience, and like mastering the mind more than I was my actual schoolwork, right? And then when COVID hit, it got into more of the science of like, okay, quantum physics, physiology, um, like the true like nature of the universe and things of that nature. Because I was building a frequency technology company. It was like a light frequency that we were developing. So I had to do a ton of research because it was directly fighting pathogens. So there was just a lot of things I had to learn, and I just got obsessed with it.
So, okay, so you got obsessed with it. Pretty much like you started being around other types of people other than athletes. You start kind of going down these rabbit holes. You have time to read. You've always been interested in the human mind. Then you start with that company because this is a separate company than the one you have now too, right? Like this light thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
separate. So, oh
Um,
wait, how many companies have you like made in your life?
I mean, I had the app. I had like an e-com store. I've had an agency and the light company. Now this one, I would say like five.
That's insane. So, okay, so five companies. So, through all of this roundabout journeys, you start really becoming like an expert in this field outside, like quantum physics and like energy frequencies, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, because you are an expert and it seems like you're going to be able to explain it to me in a way that I would understand, like, what is quantum physics?
Yeah, so quantum physics is the study of the smallest parts of matter. So like the most
Like
minuscule
a new, like a
like
proton
yeah,
thing, like
electrons
that.
and those like the very very smallest aspects of reality. Because the reason why that's so important, because that then ripples out into everything else. And
Okay.
understanding the most smallest portion allows you to understand the grander reality, because as above so below, right? So yeah, quantum physics is like energy, electrons, and how those things basically function. So, even your iPhone, for instance, like the semiconductors on your iPhone are using electricity and electrons to do ones and zeros to then give you what you see on your screen. So that small aspect, the little electrons and the zeros and ones are then allowing you to see an Instagram reel of somebody doing a backflip, you know? So
Mhm.
that's in short what quantum physics is.
So, like, okay. And then it applies to real life because we're all made up of these particles. The
Mm-hmm.
world is made up of these particles, blah, blah, blah. So that's why it's like, for the folks that may not care about like why the video is coming up on my phone, it's like, but I should care about it because not why it's coming up on my phone, but like how it affects me in my daily life. Kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah. It's like if you want to maximize reality, understanding reality is step one. So, learning how matter actually functions and how to kind of manipulate that is a key to doing that.
So like back to my Michael Jackson example. Like he's the biggest celebrity to ever exist, point blank period, to this date. Um and like I don't know if you saw the biopic, but in there they kind of touch on how like he had like the affirmations and he'd be like, I'm gonna do this. And then like he would somehow like make it happen. Um when like we think about like celebrities like Michael Jackson and like celebrities that have had such like a prolific impact and success, like what do you think they understood about like frequency, whether they had the language for it or not? Like what do you think they leveraged that helped them from like the scientific perspective?
You're saying like how they use quantum physics for like manifestation, basically.
Yeah, even if they didn't have like know the science behind it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So this leads me into like my favorite quantum physics uh, research. It's called the double slit experiment, where they basically had this like slit and they shot a particle through it. And when they shot the particle through it, like they had a wall behind it, and they saw the particle ended up being a wave. And they were like, how did this one particle split and end up as these like multiple possibilities? So then they put a camera there to observe how this happened. And then when they shot the particle again, it
Mm-hmm.
performed how they thought it would perform, as just two particles on the wall, because it just split into two rather than very many. So what they concluded was that particles, the smallest aspects of reality, collapse when they are observed. So reality collapses to our consciousness, to how we observe things. So
Right.
the reason why this ties in is because reality is performing at infinite possibilities. And then when you step into it, whatever frequency or energy that you're emitting, the reality is going to collapse into that to match that. So when you are that's one proof that we can co-create reality, right? Reality is not always one state of matter. It's literally performing at
Mm-hmm.
multiple possibilities, and then it eventually collapses into one reality when you enter and observe it, right? So when we step into spaces on a certain frequency or a certain belief, that coincides with reality to then create that reality. And another way to think about it, and this is more of like a neuroscience take,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, when you put something in your mind, your brain actually starts to reverse engineer it. So, for instance, with Michael Jackson, or if you want to become an artist, right? Your brain says, okay, you should probably write a song. And then after you write the song, you should probably find, somewhere to record this song or means to record this song. So once you put that thought in your mind, your brain starts to give you the steps to make it real. And when you're certain and you're consistent and you're confident in it, it amplifies that energy to make it more and more. So, and then there's like another take as well. I know I'm going like three different versions of this, but I'm kind of passionate about it because I
No,
studied
I
this a
need
lot.
the three versions. It's helping. Each
So,
version, my brain synapses click a little bit better.
okay, I love that. So when you get like a new car, or for instance, I just got this a Waller water bottle,
Hmm.
and now I see it everywhere. It's like you just keep seeing it.
Yeah.
It's like
Yep.
that's part of how our brains work. Um, and I can't think of the name part of the brain right now that is in control of this, but that's just how our brains work, right? So if you wake up and tell yourself, I'm the luckiest person in the world every day, what will start to happen is your brain will start to notice things and give you hints on to make that reality. So it'll turn your head a certain way. It'll say, "Hey, talk to that person." It'll literally direct you,
Hmm.
because that's how our brains work, and that's how we coincide with reality. And that's why positive affirmations, like with Michael Jackson, he said, my name is MJ now. I will become a top artist. The world will know my name. He had affirmations on his mirror every day. And these things start to basically rewire your subconscious. And the reason why that's so important is because your conscious reality is about like 20% of everything. Like
Yeah.
your subconscious is like 80 to 90% of your actual reality, because what's happening is, right? Your subconscious picks up on everything. Every little sound, like if somebody were to drop a pin, every little
Hmm.
thing that you're seeing, it takes all of that data and then filters it to your conscious mind to then actually pick up on the things that are actually important, because you don't want to have 100% of your
Yeah.
subconscious. That would be way too much. It'll be an overload. So when you can properly rewire your mind, it'll start to filter in the right things into your conscious mind, so that way you can actually create your dreams, right? But I think some people are in loops. And I tell people, you got to stop self-deprecating humor. You shouldn't talk bad about yourself or other people, because your brain doesn't know the difference between a joke or not. It takes everything literally. So it's going to take that information and say, oh, you think you're X, and you keep saying, oh, I'm X, oh, I'm X, I'm X, I'm X, which could be like a negative thing. And
Mm.
you think, oh, I'm joking, but your brain is thinking, oh, they think they're this person. We should provide them things to lead them to be this person, because that's who they say they are, right?
Yeah.
Your brain is always listening. Your subconscious is always listening. So, yeah, that's my take on that.
And like, so because Michael Jackson did all these things to like rewire his brain pretty much, he was able to actually make these things a reality and have like the number one song, get his stuff on MTV when they weren't having black artists on MTV, like all the different things. Like he was able to do it because he kept telling himself these things over and over and over again.
Yes, for sure. And of course, he
And then
put
it
it.
trained his subconscious.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, he put in the work and everything. But that's of course a huge factor of it. You are like a radio. Like if you're on that right frequency and you're open to it, like all of every song created is coming, getting channeled from your thoughts, right? So
Yeah.
if you're at that right frequency and you're open to it, you're able to get the thoughts to give you the lyrics. He had this one quote where he was like, I need to, when I get inspiration, I need to go and record it before Prince takes it, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it's like that's real. It's collective consciousness. These thoughts are floating around, and if you're a channel for it, you got the inspiration, go and create it.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. Because I do think about that sometimes when it's like I have an idea and then I don't do anything about it, and then someone else takes the idea. Like it's something stupid, right? Like that, like whatever, I don't care that. But it's like I'll be like, I was just thinking about that, and then someone did this after I was literally just thinking about it or whatever. So yeah, that makes sense. And I knew he had that whole thing with like, oh, before Prince takes it, but I didn't realize it was like because of like the collective like energy, thoughts, whatever, like shared thoughts. Like I was like, oh, he's just competitive, which he is, but like I just didn't realize there was like that deeper layer of like why he even thought like Prince could take it.
Mm.
Yeah, very interesting, very deep. Now, okay, a lot of people feel like in general to be successful, you have to have some sort of struggle. And like struggle in my brain is like different than like having discipline and like persevering and all that type of stuff. Like you have to work hard regardless, but like some people think like Joe Jackson with that belt to ass, it was like the reason why he became who he was. And like, do you think that that plays a part in the level of success? Because can't there be an argument that like you could have a frequency that gets you to success from having trauma instead of like being like I think I'm the greatest in the world? Like can't you just get like that from trauma? And like
Um,
thinking about like I don't want to like you like think about like getting your ass beat when you didn't get the note right or when you didn't look give eye contact. Like I would be I would know how to do something too.
yeah, I mean, like to a degree, that's definitely true. Um, I think it definitely creates a certain level of hunger and alchemy, right? You have that like inner urge because you have that trauma that then produces these like chemicals to then make you take action, right? And I also believe in like the law of polarity, which is basically that everything has an exact opposite, and
Mm-hmm.
can transmute that energy. So if you have this deep, deep traumatic thing, you can transmute that into a really, really great thing, right? Um, so
Yeah.
I think there's definitely something in that. Uh, I wouldn't say like that's the only way, but I would say that's definitely something that could make you take action, right? Because some people, they can be very comfortable. And if you're too
Yeah.
comfortable, you're not going to take action because it's like, why would I? You don't have a strong enough why, right? But you can also have a why that's also like,
Not
oh,
trauma based.
yeah, not trauma based, right? So it's all about the why, because that why then enables you to like react, and then
Keep
have this
going.
chemical change to then do something, take action.
Okay, that makes sense. So basically, it's like Michael Jackson's one of his whys could have been like thinking about the times that he got his ass beat. That could have been one of his personal whys. But people can have whys beyond that. So, like, technically, but then my argument is why have we not had another Michael Jackson? Why has no one achieved this level of greatness
Because
since then?
we live in a world that people are, I know people don't like to hear this, but people are in control of the radios, and they're in control of who is going to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, like for instance during like the Michael Jackson era, it wasn't as controlled. And I think Michael scared people. It scared Sony because they were like, "Oh, he's more powerful than the program," because he was about to buy Sony right before he died. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that I think these all these people are in cahoots, right? All these different labels,
Correct.
the radio, they're all in cahoots. So they probably got together and said, we probably should make somebody with this sort of energetic level, this sort of energy, make it this big. Let's promote the people we can control. Let's make them sign certain contracts when we sign them, so that way they can never threaten us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I do believe there's Michael Jackson talent, but they don't get Michael Jackson recognition. I don't think the
Mm-hmm.
talent. I don't think the talent went anywhere. I think some people are even more talented, in my opinion, but they're not being promoted. They're not being uplifted because the powers that be currently are afraid, right? Because if they do uplift a person that with Michael Jackson talent, guess what? They can then overpower them, and then they lose what they've earned, right? And they don't want that. And I think that's what's kind of happening with the whole Drake thing, right? As you noticed, Drake's own label promoted Kendrick's diss to try to bring Drake down a notch because Drake was having too much motion. And then Drake tried to sue them and say, this is defamation because I'm not a pedophile. And y'all over here promoting a song calling me a pedophile. Like, this is just not right. And they did the same thing with Michael Jackson. They called him a pedophile because it's something that you can just point and say, yeah, you did that. And then just the even thought and idea of it immediately tarnishes your brand. Did the same thing with Andrew Tate, right? They always point a finger like, you did this. We don't have any proof, but we can drop news article after news article, put it on CNN and tell the world that you did this with no proof and say you're accused of it. And now you lose your social brand, and you have
Right.
this polar views of you, and now you're less influential to threaten us. And that's exactly what happened to Drake for years, and still to this day. I was at this event one time, and I was about to like put on some Drake, and they were like, "Oh, we don't listen to pedophiles," and I'm like, if he was actually a pedophile, wouldn't he get charged for it? Like,
Okay, he
wouldn't?
said that in his diss after Not Like Us, and I thought that was a horrible thing to say because R. Kelly was. Now, I agree he's not a pedophile. Let me start this. But R. Kelly did not get charged for like decades. And there was video evidence of him peeing on the girl. So I'm little girl. So I'm like, that is not an argument that I agree with. But I also don't think he's a pedophile. I do think that there was a narrative that was put out there for probably this reason that you're saying. Like, that's what I feel like. I don't think he's a pedophile. I think Drake is just corny. But that doesn't make you a pedophile. That doesn't make you a bad person. That just makes you a little cornball, and that's fine. Um. So yeah, but I'm like, no, people don't get charged all the time.
Yeah,
Bill
yeah,
Cosby was drugging them girls for God knows how long with the Quaaludes, and then he didn't get caught till he was like could barely fucking walk. So I'm like, and then now he's out. So I'm like, yeah. But I do like I do believe that, and I feel like it makes even sense with like what he tries to say. But then like a video that I had that like went the most viral was like someone else who's like a Drake stan, like being like, yeah, this was like a kind of like what you're saying, but not as scientific. And everyone's like, no, everyone just kept commenting and bringing up, like, what about the 16-year-old? What about this? What about that? What about that? And I will go do my little fact checks on anything, whether I think you're right or not. Like, even if I think you're probably wrong, I will go fact check that I think you're probably wrong. And I would go fact check, and I'm like, you guys have not read the facts of any of these things. Like, this is not me. I'm personally not a Drake stan. I think he's like the closest to Michael Jackson that we have, but like I'm not like my personality is not tied to supporting him. So like I don't really care either way besides I like his music, but I'm like, no, you guys have not read the facts. All these things that you're bringing up are like, to your point, like stories that have been pushed out there to lower his value, to lower his brand, and like they're not even true.
yeah,
So I agree with that. And that's what happened with Michael. And then, yeah, to your point, once Michael got to that level that he was, and they were like, this is scary. No, 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 no. We need to humble you. We need to bring you back down to whatever level. Then they kind of kept that blueprint for everybody else, and they don't bring up people, to your point, that may reach that level. And that's kind of why they also talk about like industry plants and things like that, because it's like those people they can control.
yeah. They specifically pick people like that, right? And when people say, "Oh, like you signed your soul away," what that really means is that you are now living for money. You're not living like like you've signed a contract that states you can't talk about this, you can't do this, you can't do that. And that's where like you don't really have a soul anymore because you can't do things that you may want to do because you're in control by this label or by this company that said, "Oh, if you do that, we're going to cut you off. You're going to be broke. We're going to sue you and you're never going to be heard of again." So that's what a lot of artists, they don't really have a soul anymore because they can't speak out about something and say, "Oh, that's not right." Right? And that's what some people get on like LeBron James about. And of course like a bunch of other artists, and I think they also handpick people that come from horrible backgrounds that don't have mentors that you know I don't know if you know 19 Keys, but
I don't.
okay, he's like a modern Malcolm X, if you will. And one
Is he
thing
like a hotep?
kind of, I think if he's like, I don't know, maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Well, okay, what's his name? 19 Keys. I'm gonna find out if he's a hotep.
Yeah,
But go ahead.
he's like the system uplifts certain black Americans, right? It's gonna
Okay.
uplift and bring to the media the less educated, the less resourced black American. So whether that's the Kodak Blacks, um, the who else is like huge right now? Um, whether that's even NBA, NFL, they would rather put that person in the spotlight versus the educated, well versed on their stuff Black American, because they fear that. Um, and you know that's a whole another topic. But when we're talking about the music thing, they know where people. It's like, if we give you $2 million, you'll sign anything.
Correct. I mean, it's taking advantage.
Yeah, and it's like you'll sign anything, and there you go. And they know if they cut that person off, they don't have anything to fall back on. So
Yeah.
therefore, let's go with that person.
This is jumping around because I was going to ask this later, but do you believe that the Illuminati is real?
I don't think it's like as organized as people think it is.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
there's not like a like triangle and like a whatever, like robes and
yeah, yeah. I think there is definitely key people that control a lot of the media, and then that creates a lot of ripples that then trickle down into the average millionaire or multimillionaire, and they kind of follow suit. But if you just follow the money, you start to see how a lot of companies that you may think, oh, these are different companies, they're the same company. Like, for instance,
mm,
LVMH, they own a lot of the luxury brands and alcohol
yeah.
brands. The cereal brands, they own a lot of the different brands. The TV networks, like
Yeah.
Disney owns a bunch of the various different ones, right? You may think,
ESPN, Hulu, blah blah blah. Yeah.
yep. So that's one aspect of it, and then the back end, that this is what a lot of people don't see, is um, private equity. So basically, these are the secret billionaire trillionaires, and these people basically fund companies. For instance, Meta. Mark Zuckerberg does not own most of Meta. He has
Hmm.
investors that have maybe more equity than he has. And what that means is they can tell him, hey, do this, do that.
Yeah.
And they're behind the scenes. Nobody knows who they are. Because, yeah, Mark Zuckerberg is the founder and CEO. Everybody thinks of Meta. They think of Mark. They don't think of his investors that own more equity.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they need a face to their thing, and he's the face.
Yeah, so I think that's a part of it, where there's these private equity circles, and then they're of course in friends with the people that own the media, and then they can meet up and say, okay, what agenda do we want to push? And I don't think it's like a exact organization. I don't think it's everybody, but I do think there is certain levels of wealth where they are in talks with each other, and they are pushing certain agendas because it makes everybody, well, it makes the wealthy wealthier, and they can do that
Hmm.
because they own it and they have control over it. So, why not? And I feel like if other people were in their shoes, they would probably do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, that's my take on it. Um, and do I think there's a huge shift from the 1800s? 100%. I think our educational system has also been shifted to basically have us in a certain level of education that doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth. So I think with the whole
Yeah.
like Rockefeller movement, because Rockefeller funded a lot of the school system that we currently are in. And
Hmm.
that has also shifted the way that society is thinking, and that's why people feel so lied to, and that there is a little Illuminati, is because the school system and things are so set up to not really educate us on things that actually matter. So, yeah.
So, like, yeah, I mean, it's very apparent. I feel that most people understand, like, I mean, even if you think about the US in general, like, depending on what state you live in, depends on like if you know about, like, if they teach you about slavery and like what they say about it at that. So it's like there's just different levels of like what people learn, and like it's controlled by like people that are not me and people that are not everyday regular people. So I feel like that's just kind of like not a debatable thing. Now, you spoke about how like one, the music industry and other industries, like they kind of control what we consume, whether it be like from the news or music, food, education. But what if like I want to listen to the bang bang shoot 'em up music, but I still want to have like a high frequency? Like what if I just like a little bit of Kodak Black? Like am I holding myself back? Because I like trap music. I do. So like am I holding myself back?
Yes and no. I think, listen to it. Don't have it on loop.
Yeah,
Diversify your portfolio. But
right.
my philosophy is state is everything. So if it's putting you at a higher state, like you're excited, you're joyful, you're like hype, that's a good thing, right?
Right.
That's actually a good thing. Um, so I don't totally dismiss it because of course I listen to Drake and Drake's lyrics aren't always the most positive affirmations, right? Um, but I wouldn't say that should be the only thing you listen
It's
to.
not bang bang shoot 'em up though. It's not bang bang shoot 'em up. I feel like it's kind of positive. He's like, yeah, I'm that nigga, blah blah blah. I'm the best. I feel like that's his music. And then
Yeah,
I
he
like
tries it though. He
strippers.
tries it though. He be trying the whole thug with 21 and
I
everything.
feel like a little bit, but like the majority of his music is like, I like strippers and they don't like me back, and I spent all this money on them. Like this is all positive things. Like sorry they don't like you back. I'm glad that you spent that money on them. Like I don't know. Like I feel like his music is not the same as like bang bang shoot 'em up music.
Yeah, yeah. I listen to like Lil Wayne and other people, but I think it just comes to like your energy and your state. That's what really is gonna like control your reality, along with like your subconscious. But like being at a certain state, like for instance, if that can help uplift you, then do it to uplift you. Then.
Okay, so it's really about like what state does it bring you in? Because like I'm like a very big on music. I'm a music person, always have been. So like I listen to lots of different kinds of music, not just bang bang shoot 'em up, but like I okay, how do you feel about when people listen, like people have like sad music playlists? So like sometimes like I just want to listen to Lana Del Rey and I want to feel something. Like I want to feel sad. Like I just want to feel that. Like is that bad? Like I feel like it's not bad. I feel like that's why we have all types of music, because music is from emotion, and the human state and human existence is not all like rainbows and butterflies, you know?
I would disagree with that.
Okay,
I
why?
don't I don't think like if you're trying to reach your goals, sadness usually doesn't help, especially if it's not directly like transmuting that and like reflecting on that. You want to reflecting on a specific thing that you're going through. If you're trying to like mask it or like trying to basically distract yourself from what's actually wrong, then I don't really agree with that. I think, like I said, your state's everything. So if you're listening to something and it's making you sad, that's lowering your frequency. And when you're at a
But if
lower,
you were already kind of in that mood, like you were already kind of sad, and you were like, I'm gonna
you try
listen
to
to
get
some
out
Lana
of
Del
it.
Rey.
You should try to get out of it. You
But
should.
I feel like, okay, so you're like not a crash out person, clearly.
Mm,
So
I
we've
don't go.
established
I don't
that.
go below neutral. I go neutral is the lowest I will go.
Okay, so how is life fun? Like, I feel like crash
That
outs are
makes
fun.
life very
Okay,
fun
because like
because you're not sad.
Okay, but like this is like real questions that I'm asking for real because I'm like, all right, how do you like neutral is great. Like that's fine. Neutral is boring and I know you can have like highs and you can be like super happy, you can be super whatever and you can be neutral. But like how do you appreciate the highs when you've never had a low or you've never had a crash out and like come out crawl out of that crash out, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you can have a low without crashing out, right? Like there's rhythm of reality, right? There's gonna be lows, there's gonna be
Mm,
highs, but it's how you are processing that low, right? You can look at that low and be like, this is happening for a reason
yeah.
versus not, right? So that's just kind of how I look at it, right? I don't believe in like ignoring it and like not believing that it
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Because
believe
I think that's a load of
in
crap. That.
transmuting
But
that.
okay, so all right, like I'll give you an example because all right, if you are, I don't know, like I'm a Cancer. Like I don't know if you believe in
But you're
astrology, but
emotional.
yes. So I'm emotional, like I'm a Cancer. So it's just like but I like it. Like I'm not mad about it. Like I'm not like trying not to be emotional. I don't like wish I was less emotional. Like it just kind of is. So one day I might wake up and be like, "Oh my God, like why like I just feel like a Cancer. I don't know. Like Cancers all like get this thing like near their birthdays too where we just like have like existential crises. And like
Mm.
but it's fine. But that I do think it happens for a reason. That's the way I look at it, but it doesn't negate the fact that like I'm gonna listen to Lana Del Rey when I'm feeling that and really like channel it because I do feel like it's happening for a reason, and I know it's not gonna stay forever. So it's not like I think like I'm gonna be sad forever. Like I don't get depressions. Like I don't get depressions. It's just like I'm like, oh, I just have this feeling, and then it's like it'll pass, like it'll change, but like let's just stay in this moment for like 5 hours.
Okay.
And then tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna be like, wow, I'm the baddest bitch to ever exist. Literally, this is like how what happens for me. So I'm like, how do you I don't know. I just can't imagine a life where I don't have those lows randomly and then like pop out. Because I feel like I pop out better after. I feel like I need to reach that. I feel like I need to like go there and then it like propels.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting take. I mean, I think lows are gonna happen to anybody, but you
Right.
just stay there and you shouldn't.
Okay, that's the thing. Yeah. So I agree with you on that. Like you can't stay there and I don't stay there and I agree with you like you but I feel like when you're there, you should well, for people who are like me, you should really like sit in it and like be there and like enjoy it almost. Like you should be like, "Yes, like this is my low day." Like I'm gonna like rebel because it's like creativity can come from those low places. Like you create a lot of things when you're in those low places in the effort of moving out of it. You create things. And some of those things you create are sad and are on low frequency, low vibes.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that.
And they're great. But it's you can't stay there. I feel like that's our happy medium of where me and you agree. Is like and I think you are about to agree with me a little bit on this because I just made it made sense. But it's like, yeah, it's like your lows, you can create great things in the lows as long as you have the intention of moving out of it. And as
Yeah.
long as you know, like, as long as you know it's for a reason, like you said, like your mind says, like, okay, this is for a reason,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
I can see that for sure.
I feel like you gotta agree with me. What's your sign?
I'm a Scorpio.
Oh, so you're a water sign, so you kind of get a little bit, but you guys are a little bit. I'm like curious that you don't crash out because Scorpios crash out.
I'm an evolved Scorp.
Okay, so you used to crash. You don't miss crashing out? Okay, because I've had phases where it's like I felt like I was very neutral and like highs, and I'll be like, ugh, I kind of miss the times where like I was like crashing out just one time for one. Like you don't miss like okay, so you don't like chaos.
No.
I don't know. I don't know how you're a Scorpio and you don't miss it ever.
I mean, I like what's the word? Like not having everything planned. I like being spontaneous, but like actual chaos, nah. I think chaos just brings opportunity for bad things to happen, in my opinion. That's my take. Because things can.
Okay, but okay, so I guess my last question for you on this specific thing is if you're someone who like you may lean towards more like having emotions like water signs and things like that, how and like part of like creating and like putting things into the universe is doing things that resonate with the human experience. How is it bad to like go below neutral when it's that's like the human experience?
Um, I mean, I don't really believe in bad or good, right? And that's a neutral response. But my take on that is yes, things can be, sad that happen, but you don't have to allow that to shift your state, right? So, for instance, as an example,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, God forbid, I get robbed, right? I can look at that experience, say, oh, that sucks. I hate that person, crash out on them, and try to do all the things to like build up that anger and that emotion. Or I could take that same exact situation and say, I just helped somebody in need. I had like so good of things that they wanted to take from me. I am such a good person and I hope they have a great day. Right? It's
Yes.
it's the same situation, something quote unquote bad or sad happened, but the way you react is going to determine your state. And your state is then going to determine the thoughts you have, and then your thoughts are going to determine your feelings, and then your feelings are going to determine your actions. And I'm a believer in when you're on those lower states, your actions aren't going to actually get you where you need to go because that different shift in thinking can now allow me to make even more money and have even more things rather than crashing out and doing something now. Oh, I'm trying to chase him down, and now I sprain my ankle. Now I got to call out of work. Now and then that then creates a ripple of now that lower frequency living, right? So that's
I
my take.
agree with that. Like, okay, like I'm not gonna pull a gun out if somebody robs me. I agree with that, but more so that like the emotions that you feel towards it, like anger, where it's like someone would say maybe that's like not neutral, it's below neutral. It's like you can use that anger and channel it into other things, even if it stays as anger. You don't need to like be like, oh, but then I'm so lucky because somebody like can now use these things and they were in need. And I do think those things are true. Like if you're robbing people, like there's a reason you're robbing people. But like my thing is gonna be like I'm angry, I'm pissed off about it. Cause anger like makes me do great things. Like I get a lot of things done with anger. So I just feel like it's all about how you channel the different emotions that you have.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not feeling some certain way that somebody robbed me. I'm saying the way that I'm thinking about it is in a different way. Yeah, like I'm not happy that that happened, so I'm gonna go and like make some money or do something that's gonna like kind of.
Yeah. So you're using anger to like solve the problem. Because you're pissed that you lost that money and you're gonna go make more money because you're mad, but you're gonna go make more money. But you
Yeah,
use
yeah.
the anger, like that's why I mean, I'm like, these
It's like
emotions are
nuance. It's nuance, right? Like I
good
see what you're saying.
emotions.
Yeah, I see what you're saying for sure.
Okay. I feel like I just had to be right in something. So anyway, okay. Now we kind of talked about like because I was like, okay, there's science behind like both the positive and the negative. The negative is like, okay, what you consume, you kind of become, or it kind of like changes your mindset, subconscious, blah blah blah, and that's how we got on the music. Now, how did you use all this knowledge that you have on frequency and like how you align yourself, your brain, neuroscience, and things like that to create your fifth company, right? Because this is five, we said, right?
Yeah. I definitely think I had an extremely accelerated path due to being aligned and being the person that I am. And the story on how this even came into fruition was I was working for this startup, head of growth, and I got terminated just a random like Tuesday. And I looked up to my boy and I was like happy. I was like, everything happens for a reason. And that same week, I started High Frequency Highway. I put my last check into starting this company. And I didn't get down about it. I wasn't mad at him. I was just like, yeah, everything happens for a reason. I'm so happy he fired me, so now I can do my own thing. That was
Yeah.
literally my vibe. And, of course, my own thing ain't making no money, right? So I'm paying 2K for my spot and everything. So, boom, had to find somebody to sublease. So, found somebody to sublease. And then the week that happened, I got a free opportunity to live in New York at this hacker house where they were basically housing black entrepreneurs to live there. And if I didn't start my own thing, I wouldn't be a black entrepreneur, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
boom, was able to live in New York for free. And then that got me certain relationships. Um, and, ended up going back to school because I was like in a gap year during this period. So, go back to school, really worked on myself, meditated every day, was running track at university, building my company. And I just had this certainty, of creating what I was creating. And I was really like deep into like the whole spiritual world. And then one Sunday I was actually fasting and I was on the way to, like in my fast to go to Whole Foods.
Mm-hmm.
And basically there was this art pop up that I had never seen before. I walk in there, start talking to this lady, and she has like a bunch of spiritual art all over the place. It felt like I just like entered a portal. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was wild. We ended up talking for hours, but long story short, towards the end of my college, because I was about to graduate and everything, I didn't seek a job. I was like, I'm gonna go full time on my thing. That lady
Mm-hmm.
that I met became an investor. So she actually allowed me not to even work a job and I could go full time on my startup right after I graduated college. Um, and I'm saying that to say like, I was fasting, I was meditating, I was guiding myself in ways that I didn't know, but things just kept aligning for me time after time, even up to the point when we were creating the headphones. Um, I was working on a prototype for a couple months, finally got the prototype. In the first week I have the prototype, I get a call from Alibaba and they're like, hey, we're looking for content creators to present a product at our event. Do you have one? And I was like, yeah, I do. So I was able to introduce the tech in front of 4,000 people the first couple weeks I even had the prototype. And one of the people that was there was the CEO of Kickstarter and also Damon John. So the CEO of Kickstarter loved the tech. He partnered with us. We got it launched on Kickstarter, and then that funded our first batch. So it's like the time and time of being in the right place, timing aligning, things working out. I don't think that's just like coincidence. I think that's because I'm very, very diligent in what I do, how I talk about myself, the actions that I take, and making sure I'm doing things I need to do. And I think all those things allow me to be more lucky than the next person because I'm on the side of the universe. I believe when you're aligned and you're working in harmony with the world, you have positive thinking, you're creating things for the world, right? Um,
Yeah.
when you're on the team of the universe, that's infinite energy. The universe is infinite, right? It's like that's the squad you want to be on. So
Yes.
that's like how I operate.
Yeah, I feel like I subscribe to like a similar mindset, but instead I just say I'm one of God's favorites because I am. And I feel like similar things just happen for me where it's like, oh, people be like, oh, you're so lucky, or how did you get this to happen? Or like, I wanted this to happen this way. And then I just made it happen the way that I felt like making it happen, kind of thing. And I'm always like, oh, I'm God's favorite. But it's like really this thing, same thing that you're saying of like, you're on the side of the universe. So you're going to get what is needed from the universe when you're in alignment. So with your company that you now have that like was very much accelerated by being in alignment, what made you make these headphones specifically? Because there's so many different headphones that people like, there's the Apple ones, there's like the Bose ones. Like I feel like someone else might look at it and be like, that's a saturated market, why would I make headphones? But like you were able to make it unique and like whatever, what made you think that you could do that? And like who do you think they serve?
Yeah, good question. I remember when I first tried, because this is like bone conduction. So it doesn't go in your ear, it goes in front of it on the bone. And I remember trying similar headphones and I was listening to music on it. And the feeling that it gave, I just had a spark that if I used my app with these headphones, it
Mm-hmm.
will be substantial. And the reason why my app makes it different than just listening to a regular song is that we oscillate the frequency. We're not streaming it, it's not an MP3 file. It's an oscillation, which basically means we're getting the hertz. And
Mm-hmm.
what that means is we're doing the natural way that sound propagates through space. So hertz is counting the cycles per second that a sound wave is. So if it's
Mm-hmm.
100 hertz, that means it's basically the sound wave is going up and down 100 times per second. So
Mm-hmm.
what this means is we're not, like I said, we're not MP3, we're not streaming it. So you can actually listen um, through your device without Wi-Fi, without cellular. It's just like a natural mechanism of sound that every device has automatically. We're just tapping into it with our code, of course. Um, and when you pair that with the bone conduction, it it creates this like shift effect with the binaural beat. So we have two different frequencies going. The transducers are vibrating at that frequency that you put in. So you're directly
Mm-hmm.
controlling the vibration of the transducer. And then on the other side of that, it's bypassing your eardrum. Instead of going through your eardrum like sound normally does through regular headphones, it filters the frequency. So, with our device, you're getting the auditory directly through your bone, and then you're also getting the physical sensation directly through your bone. And we are directly connecting with the inner part of your ear that's responsible for sending electrical signals to your brain. So we're like
Mm-hmm.
directly stimulating your brain with the exact frequency that you want to be on.
Are there different frequencies that you would want to be on for different points in time? like if you're working out, is there a different frequency that you would want to be on than like if you're
Yeah, 100%.
relaxing for the night?
Um, like Hertz frequency is the same scale that they read brain waves with. So, for instance, alpha state, which is more of like a, or yeah, it's like a calm
Yeah.
state. Theta is like a sleep state. So
Yeah.
sleep is like 3 to 7 hertz, right? So that's counting
Mm-hmm.
the way that your neurons are firing is three basically cycles per second,
Mm-hmm.
which is like slower. But if you are trying to do a math problem or run a race, you're in like a gamma, which is 40 hertz, 40 to 60 hertz. So it's a more firing of your neurons at a faster
Mm-hmm.
rate so you can do a math problem. So what our frequencies do is they can shift you into those different states because it's the same language, but we're using sound and vibration.
So like, okay, but then so when I use the app and I have the headphones on, it's like, can I be like, oh, I'm working out, put like I want to put this frequency on
Yeah, yeah,
because
exactly.
this is the better one. Okay.
Hmm.
But do you have to know it or does it like break it down for like
Yeah,
people who
there's
don't?
like presets that kind of
Okay.
they don't say, oh, this is alpha gamma. It says, oh, this is focus, this is sleep, this is flow. So you can just click those and then it has those frequencies.
Have you heard? My friend told me there's this thing on TikTok, which I know is not reliable, which is why I'm asking. Like the song Ring My Bell, that old song. She
Yeah.
said if you listen to that song, it's like a 6 minute song. It's like the frequency for like attracting wealth and abundance. That's what they say on TikTok, that specific song.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen that. I've actually seen that video. We made a
Have you
video about that.
researched it? Do you believe that? Like for that song, or is they are they lying?
I think our brains are powerful. I think if you believe it works, it'll work. That's my take.
Okay, but like, but it's not one of these things that you're talking about with like the actual frequency, like
No.
gamma, or it's not that. Okay, I just need to. I was like, I gotta ask somebody who actually would know because even if I look it up, I'm not gonna. I think I did look it up and I was like unclear still. So, okay, but if you believe that it'll work, it'll work. It's like a placebo.
Exactly. If you believe
Placebo.
it works,
Okay.
it'll work for you.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a frequency in general that like is good for abundance or no? You have to like be like thinking about you have to be doing your affirmation with a frequency or whatever.
Yeah, I would say like alpha, we have like an abundant sound on our app that is like our most listened to track actually. So, yeah, there's definitely frequencies for that, and it's almost like just being in a state of gratitude. Like I have
Mm-hmm.
when I need it.
Yeah. And I guess what would you say is your mission statement for this product combined
Yeah,
with
my
the
mission
app?
statement is to raise the frequency of the planet so we can achieve peace on Earth.
Hmm. Okay.
Because I know to raise the frequency of the planet, it starts with each individual person's frequency. So that's where we're
Right.
starting.
Yeah, because it's like it's at the end of the day, it's like a collective, like synchronicities and things like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But okay, so that world peace and peace to you is like we're not bombing people. Like, what is peace to you?
Yeah, yeah. We live in a harmonious, working in harmony with nature, with each other. People are more compassionate because if you actually um, do your research, we're more similar than different. All the things
Yeah,
that are causing war and this like negativity is is due to false truths. People believing
correct.
human constructed things like borders, like Um,
Correct.
what else? Like people determine people things from their race, religion. All these
Yeah.
things are human constructs. But if you actually look at nature and look at the way that humans, our DNA and our the smallest aspects of ourselves, biophotons, we're just light beings, and our DNA is very similar. So all the other stuff is kind of like unnecessary, and it's gonna like slow down our evolution. So it's about, raising the frequency so people can truly accept the truth, because sometimes when you're in a lower frequency, the truth doesn't even matter. You're so in your world, so busy crashing out that you don't even care no more. Like
I
when that
always care
person
my crash outs.
when that
I
person
always
robs you
care.
and you're crashing out on them and they're like, "No, I need this for my kid." You're gonna say, "Fuck them kids." Right? It's like I don't care. I don't like. I
It
don't care.
depends. I don't know. I feel like there's a responsible crash out, and I feel like that's what I do. I do responsible crash outs.
Okay, nice.
Okay, it may be because like I was raised to be like the best revenge is like massive success. So like in my brain, I'm like somebody does something, I gotta get revenge somehow, and I'll be like, what is gonna be the best way I can do this? Like, what is the best way to like take this and be like, give them a fuck you, really? And it works. I don't know, like it be working. So I won't say fuck those kids though, if they because when someone robs you, they're not gonna be like, I'm doing this for my kid.
They could.
They're not gonna say that. Not when they rob you on the street. Especially if you're robbing like a woman. That's a lot.
Is
Most
this
people
a
stick
woman
to
on
men to
woman
rob.
robbery?
Most people, well, I don't know. So I live in Chicago. I'm not from here, but I live here. And they have a code of like men don't like people don't rob women. There's like a code that they have. So
Oh,
like maybe another woman can rob you or like a YN can rob you maybe. But even then the YNs don't really mess with the women. So that's
yeah.
kind of like the code. So I'm like, yeah, if someone was robbing me, like they're like probably mentally ill, at least in Chicago. But yeah, I think that everything else you say makes sense. I'm just not giving up my crash outs. And I think that I even agree with you that Michael Jackson could have been Michael Jackson without belt to ass if he had another Y. I do agree with that. And I think that my thing is I think that the root of all problems is like a lack of self-awareness, which is like similar to what you're saying, just packaged in a different way. And I think like we would have a lot less violence, whatever, discrimination if we all like were aware of the truth and not being like red pilled or whatever, all the pills that people say in the Matrix and things like that. I think that's like really the root of everything. I think it's really cool that you have something for people to become more in alignment with the truth of our essence.
Yeah.
Can people buy it online? Like if you will you give me a link and I can put it in
Yeah.
the
Yeah. You can
description
get it on
thing?
our website.
Okay. And like when someone buys it or when they go to this link, it's going to be pretty straightforward. Like, okay, this is what I need to do. I get this. This is how I use it, all that. Like, this is all like pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah. Just go on our website. It'll explain everything. And
Okay. And then I'm also going to put your social media in the link for people to connect with you there too if they would like. But any final parting words that you have?
um, yeah. I hope we provided some value and people learn stuff from this.
They will.
Make it.
I mean, if they don't, I at least feel like it was entertaining. So,
Yeah.
okay, bye everyone.